Yo, YouTube, what is going on? It's Fizzy Bubba here bringing you guys a new video today. I want to talk to you guys about the new patch notes that they just released and how dumb they are. I mean, honestly, that's just how I can describe it. I'm playing, this is some footage that I had yesterday. I wasn't feeling too well, but I thought I had to record something because I knew there would be some patch notes coming out. But let's talk about, first things first, the auto rifles. I was planning on using auto rifles pretty extensively in year 3. They looked interesting. They did. They caught my eye with especially that Dead Orbit. Dead Orbit's got all the goodies this year. But what they did was basically if the auto rifle falls into the Doctrine family, high rate of fire, big magazine, and kind of lower impact, they reduce the magazine size. But anything that's middle rate of fire auto rifles, they get a increased damage by 1.5%. So your Suro, anything that's slower initially, and that's nice. But I don't see the Doctrine as a problem. And I don't think enough people complain about it as much as they used to because of the counterbalance nerf. And we're gonna talk about nerfs in a second, but it was the Hawksaw was a problem. The Doctrine was a problem. So what did they do? What was the one thing they all had in common? That was counterbalance. So they nerfed it. And there was no problem. Even before it wasn't a problem. But we'll go on to the next thing. The next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was the snipers. This is probably the most important one. So if you guys were planning on playing the tournament that's coming out on the 25th of September, and you're planning on sniping, you're kind of skeptical now. A lot of people are talking about they're not going to snipe. They're just going to run shotguns, and one person might snipe, if they see it necessary. And the reason being is because, if you guys didn't know, they reduce the damage on middle high impact, which is the sniper rifles that fall in the 1,000-yard stare family, such as LDR, longbow, the ones that we like, essentially. They basically reduce the damage by 6.95 or 6.95%. So body shots don't do as much damage, and that was kind of the thing that we all wanted, some change on, which I agree. You shouldn't be able to hit me once with a last word and then follow a body shot kill me. That's pretty annoying. So it takes a little bit more, skill to kill now with snipers. But the thing they did that really irked me, that really upset me, was we're back at square one. Middle high impact snipers can no longer reliably kill high armor guardians in super. So you're telling me we're going to revert back to where Sunbreakers were untouchable. They did not die. You run as high as armor as you can, which you can on Titans. And I go to headshot you, you won't die. Why are we doing this, Bungie? Why did we find it a necessity? It's a headshot. You get shot in your head. You can even put it in terms, you don't even have to say real life. But in any other game, you get headshotted, you're dead. From a sniper rifle, a high impact sniper rifle. Precision damage we're talking about. We're not talking about scout rifles. We're talking about snipers. That irks me. It makes no sense. I don't understand why they thought it was necessary. There was no problem. There wasn't enough Sunbreakers in the world of Destiny to create the problem. I can vouch for that. I play enough pubs and sweats and free-for-all, pretty much Crucible all around, to say that I did not notice enough Sunbreakers in the world to be like, oh, I'm dying too much. That's the only way I could see it. I don't see any other way. I think what they might have misinterpreted was how weak Stormcallers were, and you would get pretty much shotgunned and then meleeed and die instantly. I think they might have misunderstood that, because that's the only thing I could think of. It's so stupid. And, I probably shouldn't use that word stupid, but that's what it is. It's irritating. It really is. It's quite annoying. The other thing they did, which they keep doing this, they keep touching guns that have nothing to do with year 2. Thorn is a year 1 gun. It's being brought to Rise of Iron, or year 3 if you call it. They thought it was necessary to touch up on its range, reducing it by 25%. I I don't know why. I guess people were using it in trials, and people were just, didn't know how to use their primary, and because of that, they paid the price. And now Thorn's dying again. So what they're saying is, if you want to compete in this tournament, you're going to need a hand cannon. Either you're going to need to use the last word, or you're going to use something identical Ias Luna. And this is a problem. There's no variety in the game. And I made a video on this, on primaries. There's no variety. Everyone uses the same thing. Why do we do that? If Destiny's supposed to be so innovative, why is everyone using the same primary? Because all the other primaries suck. They just suck. They're not usable. They have no value to them. That's why no one's going to use anything besides the Ias Luna. Because there's no other hand cannon that competes with it. And it's just, like I said, it's just frustrating. That, they decided to do this, now. Without any hardcore evidence. We're not even in Rise of Iron. No one has had a Year 3 Thorn yet. And they've already touched it. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. It's honestly pretty irritating. That's pretty much, it for that. What I would suggest, guys, is checking out Triple Rex video on Ghost Bullets. It's actually a really good video. It basically breaks down that Ghost Bullets do exist, and a lot of times the shots that we're shooting down range just miss because of a invisible dice that decides whether or not your shot's going to hit. And that might not be all the time. You lose a gunfight, you lose a gunfight. But there are scenarios where both players are just as good and one person outguns the other one. There's no explanation to it. It's just RNG. But that's going to do it for the video, guys. I just wanted to break down the patch notes, and how that affects us in Crucible, and how annoyed I was. But yeah, like I said, guys, that's going to do it for the video. Peace.